Hi everyone, this is Chockrit, and this is going to be my submission for Calithon. This is A Hat in Time, a 3D platformer inspired by Mario Sunshine, Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, kind of N64 GameCube era 3D platforming. Let's get started. So the premise of this game is that you are a hat kid. Little girl pilots this spaceship. She's parked outside a planet right now, and she wakes up, and this guy from the local planet comes and knocks on her window, asks her to pay local taxes, ends up breaking the window, and all of the fuel for her ship, which are the timepieces, they end up flying out of her ship, and she has to go pick them up off the planet. And so here, this is a first level. It's pretty short. Basically all I'm doing here is I'm picking up a couple of yarn to craft my first hat, which is the sprint hat. And then I'm going to go over here and fight this Mafia guy who has my timepiece. So along the way during the run I'll be picking up yarn so I can craft other hats that I need. I'll also be picking up these green orbs. They're called pawns. They're a bit like coins in Mario, and I'll use those to actually unlock certain levels. There are some levels that are gated by pawn count, so I'll be collecting those basically perpetually throughout the game. And so yeah, there's the main movement text in this game, the main methods of movement. There's not terribly much that's frame tight. It's mostly about like stringing movement together. You do have dives and rollouts kind of taken from Mario, but Hat Girl does also have a double jump. And she can also cancel out of a dive. So unlike Mario, she can actually do a little flip out of a dive while she's midair, so that she gets a little bit of extra height and distance. What I did there, I did take damage from that owl. That was intentional. While Hat Girl is flashing from taking damage, if she picks up a ticket, then she actually gets 2 instead of just 1. So we call that ticket duping. I use that here, and I use that a couple levels later as well. But yeah, that's how that worked. And I got enough yarn so I can craft my second hat. See more of this in the second level. Obviously, now that I have the sprint hat, I can run really fast, so that's another advantage to that, another movement option. And then also, there is one, like the main speed tech in this game is called sprint double jumping, or SDJ. While I'm sprinting, I only get a single jump like that. I can't actually do a double jump out of a run. But while I'm walking, I get my double jump. But it is possible to let go of the sprint button right before you jump, and you're able to keep your sprint speed, your forward momentum, but also get a double jump, and then sprint double jump. Pretty self-explanatory. It's like a 2 or 3 frame window to press A after letting go of the sprint key. And that's used pretty much everywhere. It gets you extra height and extra distance off of pretty much all of your jumps. Coming up is our first boss battle. This one's pretty self-explanatory. We do have the brewer hat, like I said. This will speed up the fight just a little bit. Power of the brewer hat, you charge a little projectile. You can throw it at enemies. So instead of having to smack them with my umbrella, I can throw this little potion at them. And it actually does 2 damage instead of just 1 if I hit them directly. And so yeah, that does speed up the fight just a little bit. Man, I'll show off sprint double jumping here. So here's my normal double jump, and here's my normal sprint jump. And you'll see how fast I'm moving when I'm sprint jumping. But if I do a sprint double jump, I get both. pretty neat. And I'll use that quite a lot throughout the run. And this boss fight, he's telling us to stand still. If I stand right here, he actually can't hit me with any of the barrels, but so it ends up being kind of silly. But this is kind of the only point in the game where you really just stand still waiting around for stuff. There is Parade later, which is a little bit slow. It's a little bit of an auto-scroller, but it's nowhere near as bad as this. And here, while I'm watching this timepiece animation, I can't actually pause, but immediately after this, for this level and a couple others later, I'll actually be able to pause immediately and exit back to the main menu because there is a cutscene that plays right after, but it lets you pause during those cutscenes, so it saves a little bit of time. And right back to back, we've got a second boss battle. This one's really cool. We'll be able to actually skip a fight right before the boss by jumping over the cutscene trigger. And then during the boss, there's also a really cool skip. It makes it so that it's basically a quick kill on the boss, lets us avoid the last phase. I'm coming up in 3 levels. There's one that I need to do that costs 100 pawns to get into, so I want to be around 80-85 pawns by the end of this level, hopefully. Oh, come on. Gotta get up here, pick this up. Now we're in the middle of this Mafia base, this little theater we broke our way in. We're trying to help Mustache Girl. That's this girl right here. Basically, she's a native of this island. The Mafia have come and taken over the island. So for now, she's our friend, and we're trying to help her take down the Mafia. But what happens here is actually, Mustache Girl finds out that the timepieces that I'm collecting, the fuel for my ship, they also have the power to turn back time. And Mustache Girl wants to use those she wants to basically steal them from Hat Girl and turn back time and take down the Mafia, use them as a tool. And Hat Girl obviously says, no, they're mine, you can't, no. And so they get mad at each other and they're not friends anymore. So Mustache Girl ends up being the final boss of the game. Bouncing on his head here, because it does help him speed up how fast he actually shoots those lightning bolts at me. It's a little finicky to actually get that, but it does save maybe like a little under a second for each bolt, if I'm getting it right. So that was the first phase. Second phase, I just need him to hit me twice. And here, this is one of the only instances of RNG as well during this fight, and also during the final boss fight as well. Is when every time he goes into the crowd like this is actually losing time, because all of his attacks are random, and if he goes into the crowd, there's no way I can hit him. But yeah, here all I'm doing, I'm charging a brewing potion with the brewer hat off the side of the stage here. He'll knock me back into him, and I clip him off of the Mafia ball there. And he just falls out of bounds, the game kills him, and the boss fight ends early. That skips maybe 40 or 50 seconds of the fight. Again, right after this, there's a cutscene, so I'll be able to pause and exit area. And this is the next level that actually uses the ticket duping. This is the other level that I was talking about earlier. Whole premise of this level, you collect 4 tickets, so I'll be doing 2 ticket dupes to try and speed that up. Hopefully I get this first one. The first one's a little finicky. Requires taking fall damage, because it's any damage that works. So let me focus on this for a second. Oh no. I need to land on the railing there. It's really tight, because you need to land on the railing, because you're taking fall damage, there's actually a get-up animation, and that eats into the amount of time you have to actually grab the ticket, and then obviously you have to grab the ticket that's on top of the rope there. So it's a really tight window for this first one. There we go, I got it. And then the other ticket dupe is over this way. This one is a lot easier. There's a little tiki torch right here. Oh. They're right next to each other, so that one was the first one that we found, I believe. And that's that level. And after this, I'm going to be grabbing a couple more pawns. I think I'm at like 93 or 94. By the end of this next level, I need 100, so let's make sure that I get that. And this level is also our first time rift. These are a lot like the secret levels in Mario Sunshine, where you find a little entrance to it, and it's a purely platforming section. It's both aesthetically and level design-wise very much the secret levels in Mario Sunshine. Oh, I've got 100 already, sick. Come right over here. A little tight section. Cool. That strat requires 2 sprint double jumps in a row, and hopefully I don't miss either of them. And bonk. There's one cycle that we used to get that was the fastest cycle you can get. There's one cycle that's a little bit slower, which I could have backed up to if I needed to. And just a few more levels and get out of Mafia Town here. So this level, Mustache Girl has gone around Mafia Town. There's these faucets that kind of control the volcano of the island. And she's turned them all on, so the whole place is covered in lava. Gotta go close all those faucets. And I'm taking damage along the way here. This is actually on purpose. There are 2 death warps in this level. And it does save a lot of time because these faucets are scattered kind of all around the island. And they're really far apart. Meant to get you to explore the island is really good, but obviously we want to go fast. So every time we die, we'll get sent right back to the start of the level, but we'll still have credit for all of these faucets because they act as checkpoints. Try and land on the faucet there. Sick. One more death warp.
Bye.
A little bit slow on this level, but not too bad. Yeah, those faucets only need 2 hits, but I do have to pause in between. If you hit them too fast, then they actually won't close. If I hit them a 3rd time, it would guarantee it, but obviously I only want to hit them twice if I need to. One more time rift here and we'll be done. Move on to SUBCON Forest, and there is a pretty big skip coming up right at the beginning of SUBCON Forest. It's one of the hardest skips in the game. I'll talk about that a little more in a minute. So yeah, regarding pawns, we just spent 100. I would be going to that level that was at the bottom of the level select screen that cost 50, but obviously I don't have any right now. I only have 20, 21. So I'm not going to be able to do that level immediately. So we'll come back to Mafia Town and finish that last level later. Use the slope here, get a lot of speed. I almost fell off there, I was spooked. Cool. There's this roulette wheel at the end of all the time rifts. They do give you cosmetic items mostly, so like different skins for your hat or different colors for Hat Girl's clothes. And they also give you remixes for a lot of the songs in the game. So you can just have different versions of the songs playing and you can swap between those. Unfortunately, getting the songs is actually a time loss the very first time that you get one of the remixes. Because there's a little intruder alert that pops up to let you know the band, it's like a menu that you can switch between what remixes you're playing. It pops up in the spaceship, so there's actually an alert that tells you, hey, go look for these guys. And it loses 3 seconds, so we don't want to get any records actually, but it's very minor. And this is the big skip that I was talking about a second ago, so it was really precise. And I missed it. I can try it again though. I'll go for this maybe 2 or 3 times here. Oh, come on. Oh gosh, alright, I'm just gonna eat the cutscene. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's a very tight window. I messed that up a little bit. The skip does save 27 seconds normally, but now I'm probably losing that much because I couldn't quite get it first try. That's alright, we'll get introduced to the Snatcher. This is kind of for this area, this kind of Tim Burton forest area. Obviously this is what I was trying to skip, but the Snatcher, he kind of runs the forest, and he captures us, and he makes us sign a contract to do all of his work for him. And yes, that's kind of the premise of this area. So all the levels, all the timepieces in this area are all contracts. It's really cool. Oh. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to show off bag skip a little better next time. But it's definitely one of the heaviest reset points because it's all precision platforming, and you need a sprint double jump. You need an SDJ, and then you need to wall climb on the tree to be able to jump all the way over that cutscene trigger. And here I'm taking damage along the way because I do actually want to... There is a death warp right here. Right at the end. I'll be able to grab the timepiece and also die at the same time. And unlike a game like Sunshine, where you kind of... If you die, then it just resets you. As soon as you touch the timepiece here, you actually get credit for it, but the dying actually sends you back to the start of the level, and we're able to start the next level immediately without going back to the spaceship first. So that's what this is going to be here. Took damage off the bomb, and we're good. And you'll see the in-game timer for the level up top right there. It's actually broken now because we haven't exited back to the spaceship. But we did get credit for that timepiece, so. And And this will be the SUBCON well. It's over this way. And I'm gonna grab a couple yarn before I go in. And there's also a really cool trick to get inside of the well. Where do a little Superman. Shoutouts to Superman 64. And here we're picking up our first badge. This is the only badge that we're going to be using in the 80% run. This is the hook shot. So there are hat powers, but there are also badge powers, which this is the only one that is required throughout the game, as far as I remember. At least the only one that's required for any percent. It might be the only one required at all, I think. But this... Oh, well, technically the scooter. We use the scooter in mail delivery in a little bit. But we don't actually get to keep that one, so I don't really count it. But these are just powers that you use in addition, and so that's what the hook shot is here. I'm being able to swing off of these little lampposts. This game originally started out, Jonas Karlev, who's the game director, programmer, creator, it was just his own personal side project. He was messing around with cel-shaded graphics and kind of like a Wind Waker style. And so having the hook shot in the game is kind of an homage to that. And if you look at like really early footage and photos of this game... Oh shoot, I forgot I'd had the contract. I could actually save time there. I'm a dingus. Yeah, you could actually... well, whatever. I don't want to talk about it. But... yeah, so if you look at really early footage and photos of this game, it looks a heck of a lot like Wind Waker. See, now we're going to go to VANESSA'S mansion, which this is one of my favorite levels in the game. Not so much in the speedrun. There are a lot of jump scares in this level, so well, hopefully I won't get too spooked. It always spooks me, you know? There is a snatcher trap here. We don't actually need those. That's where if you need to assign more contracts to get all of the timepieces in this area. You go fall in one of those and Snatcher will give you a new job to do. Oh, that was weird. So what happened there, I got wedged in between the into a weird collision spot, and the game said, oh, you're trapped, let me put you back at the last place you could stand. So that's how I teleported there by accident. Obviously not intended. It's kind of a safety mechanism. Instead of just killing you or something, just teleports you to the last save spot. And we'll be able to get into the mansion through the back here. And there's a spooky old lady who lives here, and hopefully she doesn't spook us too bad. And if you're a little squeamish, you might want to turn away. There is a pretty big jump scare coming up. Right through this hole. Ah! Oh no, wait. We're at the end of the level. That was the skip. So what happened there is this game started as a Kickstarter, and there were early alpha and beta versions of this game where this level was in, and people speedran those alpha and beta versions. And this was one of the most long and arduous levels. Your sprint is taken away, all of your powers are taken away pretty much, and it's a very slow level. And there were some skips that we found that were just annoying to do because you had to change your frame rate to 12 FPS. So one of the devs, seeing this, decided that before the full release of the game, they would put in that spot where a casual player would basically never find that. Or at least that was the thought. But for speedrunners, they basically built in a Vanessa skip so that we wouldn't have to do that garbage level. Granted, garbage speedrunning-wise, it's a great level casually. I think it's really well designed. So we've got a couple more time rifts here. And then there's one level after this left in SUBCON, or 2 levels after this one. I couldn't grab that. I'm a little cycle slow here. That's not bad. So you'll notice as well, I am switching between a GameCube controller and a keyboard and mouse often throughout the run. I'm using the mouse just to menu mainly. And here I did get a record, so I got the intruder alert. There's the 3-second time loss. But yeah, I'm using the keyboard and mouse to menu because that is a lot faster than using the controller to menu. And there is a couple other spots. There's the next level after this one, and 1 or 2 levels in Battle of the Birds a little bit later, where I do also use the keyboard and mouse for actual gameplay. And benefits of running on PC as well. I believe this game is coming to consoles soon. If not, it already did. Bounce off that spider, do a little sequence break there. The gimmick of this level is that there's platforms that only appear when you ring those bells. They get a big radius where the platforms appear within the radius. And there is actually a hat that has that same power that lets you make those platforms appear and disappear at will, but we don't get that in the any percent run. And that's actually a blessing, because we don't need the let me focus on this real quick, sorry. We wouldn't have to route in all the yarn to actually craft that. I think it costs like 12 yarn, something like that. It's quite a bit. So luckily we don't actually need that hat. And yeah, this is the mail delivery level. This is the other badge that we need, so we do actually have to re-equip the hookshot after this. And I'll also be using the mouse and keyboard for this, because it's a bit like a third-person shooter level, running around delivering mail to all of your Snatcher's minions, because these guys have families too, right? Try out for Team Liquid. Oh, I got the dupe. Okay, so I'll explain that really quick. So I only shot at 3 guys there, but I actually got credit for 4 parcels. And there's a guy way in the back of the forest, and when you hit someone with a parcel, it actually doesn't despawn, it keeps flying. So I was able to hit 2 guys with 1 parcel, and I was able to skip shooting one. That was actually really good. That's pretty rare. Oh, had to re-equip the hookshot there. And then also I was able to grab the timepiece when the contract popped up. So the contract is actually in the pause menu. Allows you to exit area while the timepiece cutscene is playing. So a little time save there, as long as you're inside of the timepiece when the level ends. And this is a stealth mission, so we got to be extra cool. Oh. So this area, it's kind of a movie studio, and there's 2 movies being filmed right now. The conductor's filming a movie, and DJ Grooves is filming a movie. And they're kind of fighting because there's an awards ceremony at the end of the year for Best Movie. Oh, I got caught. Heck, there's a checkpoint right here. That's not bad. But yeah, they're fighting over who makes the best movie, and the conductor's kind of the guy who always makes he always ends up getting the award at the end of the year. And DJ Grooves is kind of the underdog. And I'm not supposed to be here, that's why this is a stealth mission, because only birds are allowed in the studio. But DJ Grooves is going to happen upon me. And he basically wants me to star in his movie, so he's gonna make me a bird passport so I can legally work.
We need to give you a bird passport, darling. Perfect.
Silly level. And the conductor sees me as well, and he says, "Oh no, now the DJ has a trick up his sleeve, so you're gonna star in my movies too." So there's gonna be 2 movies for each of them we're gonna star in, but those are just levels to earn a timepiece. And they think the timepieces are movie props, so really quick, and do a rift as well. It's on the ship. Pick up pawns along the way. Actually, a little bit ahead. That's nice. Yeah, I need 180 before the end of Battle of the Birds, and then I'll need another 50 after that for that level in Mafia Town. Grab the checkpoint and death warp to it. Little time save. And then sprint double jump over to this platform. This is another one of my favorite time rifts. It's really fun. And yeah, the roulette doesn't really matter at this point. There's one roulette that we can skip a little bit later with a death as well. We take a lot of... Hackroll kind of takes a beating in the 90% run now. It's actually kind of funny. We take a lot of damage intentionally, both for death warps and for ticket dupes and stuff like that. So this is the other spot that I'm going to be using the keyboard and mouse for. There's a text box that requires that I type something in. And if you're using a controller, when the text box pops up, it actually prompts you with an on-screen keyboard. Whereas if you use a keyboard and mouse, you can just use the keyboard to skip it. And I'll swap back to the controller there. It's really nice that you can just switch between the two at will as well. And this is the Murder on the Owl Express here, where we get to the front and we pick up a detective's hat and we get an ominous phone call, which basically tells us to come to the front of the train. And what's here? Someone's been murdered. And my aunt is here. That's my aunt, apparently. Because the crows have set something up. This is kind of spooky. So we're going to run around the ship collecting clues, or around the train collecting clues. At least that's what we're supposed to do. But we're going to be able to sequence break a lot of this. Like that. We're supposed to be running around, grabbing keys, collecting little clues to basically give us more people, more suspects for the Murder on the Owl Express. of no relation to the movie, obviously. We'll grab this key, but we skipped the whole room here. Death warp back to the start. And jump over to that button. And we skipped the whole level, pretty much. Don't even need to grab that clue, actually. We can just walk in and walk out. We're done. And we're gonna blame, we think the murderer is the conductor. He's gonna say, what? On my train? I'm not the murderer, you idiots. Why are you? Oh, but the guy was actually not murdered at all, so pretty good. So he's gonna pay me for my time. And don't forget, we're starting a movie, so the audience is gonna really like that movie. And now we're gonna help DJ Grooves out, act in his movie. He's gonna make us into a star. He's gonna let us build a fan base. He's gonna help us build a fan base, because we're big time Birdiewood movie star now, right? So we're got our fan club, building it up. And I'm gonna pick up 2 yarn in this level. So only 1 hat that we need left is the ice hat. We'll need that for a skip near the end here, near the end of Battle of the Birds in one of the last levels. And here's the other movie, or the other yarn, excuse me. The audience loves me. I'm a full-on diva now. Officially, the game told me so. So yeah, I have way more than 30 pawns, which is what I need for this next level right now, but I'll need to pick up the remaining pawns to get 150 for the other level during this one. I actually don't know what my pawn count is right now, but I'm probably fine. This is a little bit ahead of gallery. Oh yeah, I'm fine. And so yeah, sorry, this is a very tight level. Basically, the conductor's bombed his own train to kind of amp up the action for his movie, but he, like, actually bombed his train instead of just, like, a prop bomb. So, we're running over to defuse it now. I think I make this. Yeah. I haven't really touched on the fact that the music is amazing in this game. This is one of the first tracks composed for it. Pascal Michael Schieffel did all the music, and he normally does video game remixes. He does have a YouTube channel where he used to do a lot of that, but this is his first full game soundtrack composition as well. So props to him. Whole thing is amazing. Kind of touching these panels, and have to touch all of them before the next ones appear. Craft the ice hat right now during this cutscene. because we need it for the next level. And I have like 150, 155 pawns, so I'm well in the clear here. And so, just like at the end of the first level of SUBCON Forest, there is a death warp where I grab the timepiece and die at the same time at the end of this level, and that's what we need the ice hat for. Well, there's one other level that we need the ice hats to access, but this one is it's a skip setup that we need the ice hat for. So we get it a little bit earlier than we used to. We used to get it right at the very end, right before we needed that. The ice hat to access that level. So this is the parade. This is the biggest auto-scroller in the game. It's also one of the longest levels in the game. But we do this level because we are able to get access to the award ceremony, where the bird that you helped win the award, they get their award. And it only lasts like 10 seconds, but we only get access to that level if we do all the movies. So we do this level to do the 10-second level, basically, and it ends up working out. Routing-wise, there aren't any other levels that get you 2 timepieces in, what, like 4.5 minutes? So these guys are following me around, the band, and if they touch me, then I actually take damage, and I will be using them for the death warp, but for now I need them to not touch me. And so he's amping up the action in the movie. Decided that it was a little bit too boring, which, yeah, it's an auto-scroller, obviously it's boring. So he's making us turn up the heat. Which, basically, some of these platforms will have fireworks appearing on them periodically. And makes it even harder to run around with the parade following me. I really want this pawn, so I'm gonna wait for those guys. They kind of follow you at the same, they just kind of copy your movement, so if you decide to slow down, then they'll slow down as well. I fell in the crowd there, but that's fine. I need to take the damage anyways eventually. And I believe I've got all the pawns in the level, so I'm just gonna hang out. Oh, I do not want to dive there. It's gonna hang out by this button. This is what we need for the next phase of the game. Yeah, it's really silly that there's like 2 or 3 auto-scroller timers on the bottom right. You can see there's this timer leading up to when the next thing happens, and then you go fast, and then you actually can lose time on this level until you've hit all the buttons or smacked all the dials. There we go. DJ saved me? Okay, cool. Well, that was actually really good. I got a lot of speed off of that. So here, this last timer is really fast, so I need to get the setup pretty quickly. Basically, I get down to 1 damage, I equip Ice Hat, and I stomp right here. This is what the Ice Hat power is, by the way. It's like a ground pound, kind of. And there's some platforms throughout the game that you can use to slingshot yourself. But here, we're becoming invulnerable, and we're setting up our angle so that we can get knocked right into the timepiece by the guys. We'll take our last damage and get knocked right into the timepiece by the guys who are chasing us. And I believe I got it. Cool. So that saves a lot of time, because again, we don't have to exit back to the area, back to the spaceship. We get credit for the timepiece, and this time rift appears as soon as we get credit for parade. So we're able to go straight in. And this time rift, the parade guys are here too, so they're chasing after me throughout the whole puzzle platforming area. And because we have them, we're able to do a death warp to skip the roulette at the very end as well, so I'm taking damage there purposefully. And SDJ to skip that huge gap, skip a puzzle. And then I'll be able to climb on this fence to skip a puzzle as well. And get right to the end of the level. And just wait right here, and they'll knock me into the timepiece. That lets me die. The roulette doesn't play, and I'm able to exit the hub immediately. One more time rift. This one's a little bit can be finicky, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Again, I'm going to use a keyboard mouse so I can skip the text box because we're back on the murder of the All Express. So I'll get to the time rift on keyboard. And I have more than 50 pawns. I have a lot of extra actually, so that's all I need. We're done with pawns for the game. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna die because I missed my sprint double jump. That actually kind of stinks. Missed a cycle. Yeah, this whole level's cycle based at the very, like here and then at the very end, so it's kind of unfortunate. Actually, I have no idea what cycle I'm on. It's actually kind of similar. I'm gonna stay on this. Oh, I can't get on there. Shit. Shoot. Excuse me. I promise I won't say that on stream, Dad. And so now we're going to do the award ceremony. This is again, this is why we did that super long, annoying auto-scroller. It's because we get access to a level that only takes 10 seconds. Which is silly, but it's a cool deal. Give him a smack for good measure. Yeah, we got a whole timepiece for that, and it's great. And we're done at birds, so we've got 2 more levels before the final boss. We're gonna take another ominous phone call, and then go do the last level in Mafia Town, and then there's one more time rift on the spaceship, and we'll be pretty much done. We'll be home free. So there's a lock on this level because it thinks that we need the time stop hat, which again we don't have nearly enough yarn to actually craft. But so it thinks that we need it, but we actually don't. We can barely beat this guy without actually having the time stop hat, which by its name stops time. Very tight. See, the guy almost beat us. It's a bit like Koopa the Quick or Piantissimo or something like that, but he's actually fast, unlike those guys. So that actually is a very tight window. You maybe only have like 2 or 3 seconds of leeway to actually hit the timepiece before he does. Oh. And yeah, last time rift, and we'll be in the final boss. What? These birds, I really want to avoid them. They can knock you off. Oh, that's unfortunate. Had to wait for the cycle. Excuse me. And last roulette. See if we can get blueberry pie. Nope. Got a remix that we can't use because we're already out of SUBCON. It's the unfortunate thing about the remixes too, is that not only can they lose you time, but like you don't even get to hear them most of the time because we do the riffs near the end of every area. So now Mustache Girl sneaks onto our ship and basically hijacks our stash of timepieces that's on the ship and resets the whole planet because she's figured out that all of the guys that we've been fighting, even though Hat Girl wants to be friends with everyone, Hat Girl desperately wants to be friends with pretty much anyone, Mustache Girl decides that she's going to take matters into her own hands and reset the time stream. Was able to jump up there before the elevator went down. And now, Mustache Girl has actually built herself, she's gone back in time, rewritten time, and decided that she's got her own big mustache palace here. Take a number, because we gotta wait in line. But we're just gonna cut to the front, because we know who we're waiting for. Most of the guys in line don't know who the heck we're waiting for. So, just gonna cut to the front of the line here. And there was a lock on this level as well, because it does think that we need a special hat, which was the Dweller Mask, which is the one I told you about earlier that lets you make platforms appear and disappear. What the heck am I doing? But as you can see, we're clipping onto the very top of the level here. And this is how we're able to skip needing the Dweller Mask as well. And this is also a lot faster than just doing the platforming section down there. But this can be finicky, so basically you slide along here. Like I said earlier, sliding down a slope is actually the fastest movement option in the game. But there's very few spots where we actually use that. This is one of them. We're kind of sliding on a quote-unquote slope. We're dodging invisible walls coming up here, though, so I need a second to focus. There's one. There's another. Oh no! See, there's a gap between the walls there that is like pretty much unavoidable. You have to jump over it in a very specific fashion. Try that again. I did change a setting as well to make this a lot brighter and like I can actually see. That's unfortunate. Yeah, and as you can see, this is very finicky. This first section doesn't have anything difficult. You just kind of try and stay on top. But yeah, if you fall off, then you get sent back to the start. It's really bad. Because just like everything else where we're jumping over a huge section, we're also jumping over all of the checkpoints. I got it. Okay. Yeah, that's like really tight. Can be that the first two aren't that bad, but that third one is really annoying. Definitely a run killer here, and very carefully get back on top. So because we do need to actually get back in bounds. There's no good way to get back in bounds at the end, except that there's a cutscene trigger that extends slightly out of bounds, and if we touch it, we teleport back inside. And that's over this way. Cool. And we're back inside, and we get to fight Mustache Girl once and for all. There we go. So yeah, she teleports around, she goes kind of fast. And yeah, this fight, she's basically using all of her timepiece powers that she's gotten from hoarding all of these timepieces pretty much. And goes pretty fast. There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to hit her with the brewer hat. Just like earlier, I'm using the brewer hat to speed up a lot of these fights where I'm able to hit her with the brewer hat, where I'm not able to hit her with anything else. And this phase is the other big RNG spot in the game, where basically she's in this blue ball, and you'll see Snatcher and that goat guy. They're gonna toss me some cherry bombs so that I can get her out of her ball, but of course all of her attacks are random, so the number of times I'm able to hit her before she gets back into her blue ball is completely random. So there's 1 hit, 2 hits actually, 3 hits. Yeah, so that was actually pretty lucky. Usually you only get 1 or 2 hits. And of course she disappeared right when I was gonna hit her. Okay, that was only 2 cherries. That was actually pretty good. Granted, I barely missed with that cherry to get her out, and then she teleported away. So I did lose 1 attack phase, but it's still only 2 cherries. It could have been a lot worse. And here, all the enemies in the game, they're basically standing around, and they don't want to live in a world ruled by Mustache Girl. And they figure that if I beat Mustache Girl, then the time stream will reset. So they kill themselves to give me the health that pops out of them. They have a kind of a meta moment. This phase is really hard to hit her in some spots, and she goes like twice as fast as normal. Yeah, especially when she bounces like that, it's pretty much impossible to hit her. I mean, not impossible, but just really not easy. There we go. And yeah, that's a hat in time. Got to beat Mustache Girl, got to smooch some birds and smack some dudes and make some friends. And yeah. So, yeah, hopefully this makes it into the marathon. I really enjoy this game, and I think you should too. It's available on Steam, PS4, Xbox One, and excellent game. Again, very Psychonauts, SM64, SMS, Banjo-esque across the board. So yeah, we've reset the time stream. And this is kind of a donation incentive that's popping up. This is probably the big one, if we have donation incentives in this game. You saw earlier as well during Deadbird Studio, I picked up a couple sunglasses, and I also drew on Hat Girl's passport photo. Those could be donation incentives as well. I'm not sure if those are as good, but this is the big one here. Drop a timepiece down and lend Mustache Girl some timepiece power to defeat the Mafia. Because that was her original goal, right? Because it was her home. She just wanted to get rid of the Mafia because the Mafia took over her home, and so Hat Girl gets the choice at the end whether or not she wants to help her. And I think that this will be really funny, and it just plays a slightly different version of the cutscene. It's not that big a deal, but it's really funny. I really like the no version, so I'm gonna play that. But the yes version is also worth donating for. And yeah, so that's the game. I did mess up finale, so this could be probably a minute faster. I average maybe a 50 on the clock, but obviously loads are timed out with the in-game timer. So this run takes about an hour on average for me. I'd estimate like an hour 10 at max if I mess up a lot. But yeah, this is a really good game though, and hope to see it at GDQ or Calithon. I'm sorry. I also hope to see it at GDQ, but I hope to see it at Calithon mainly. And shoutouts as well to the voice acting in this game. They've got, notably for me, they've got Xander Mobus, who's the announcer from Smash 4. He actually voices the conductor. I forget who voices Snatcher, unfortunately, but I know that DJ Grooves is actually ProZD, is Sungwon Cho. So that Scottish voice, that's Xander Mobus.
Let's watch our movie, darling.
And that's ProZD. So shoutouts to them. They did an excellent job. I wish we could listen to more of the audio in the game, but that would mean watching cutscenes, which I'm also happy that we don't do. And we're going home. And thanks y'all for watching.